Yo, what is going on, everybody? I actually don't know if I've started with yo before. That's new for me. But anyways, uh not so fast in those turning the corner talks. I know the Celtics had just won back-to-back blowout games, but quickly back to reality as tonight they lose to the Atlanta Hawks in Atlanta 92 to 108. The Hawks have been playing some really, really good basketball as of late. The best stretch of their season. I think they've won maybe 6 or 7 games in a row. Um, and the Celtics haven't had anything close to that type of win streak this season. Hawks obviously last year went on a deep run all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals, and they've been disappointing this season, but they do seem to be really turning things around there in Atlanta. As just like last year, they really surged the second half of the season, and it's looking like they're going to try to do the exact same thing. And unfortunately, the Celtics were not able to slow them down at all. As the Hawks win 108 and then 92. And this was a game that a lot of Celtics fans, I think, had their hopes up for because with those back-to-back blowout wins over the Wizards and then over the Kings, I mean, where the Celtics actually at one point had a lead over the Kings that was their largest lead in franchise history. I think it was close, damn close to 80 points. It was absurd. Um, People were thinking, okay, well, maybe this team has turned a corner and they've, figured out some of their issues and deficiencies, especially on offense. And now this is a good test because it's not the Wizards who have been struggling recently or the Kings who are a clustered, you know what. It's a team in the Hawks that were a very good postseason team last year, and it's been playing their best basketball of the season over the past 2 weeks. So this is a nice test to see where the Celtics are at. And I think people were hopeful only for the Celtics to really let them down. And the Hawks really controlled this game the whole way. The Celtics cut it close a couple of times in the third quarter. The Celtics had a nice third quarter where they outscored the Hawks 30 to 18. I think they cut it to about 3. But the Hawks just kept responding, and the Celtics just did not have enough offensively to match Atlanta. Atlanta, I believe, in the past month has the number one ranked offense in the NBA, though they also have one of the worst defenses in the NBA. It's 28th, 29th, or 30th. It's one of the worst ones. And the fact that the Celtics were only able to muster 92 points against that defense is not a good thing, not a good sign. It harkens back to the offensive struggles the Celtics have had all over the course of the season. And when they have good offensive games and strong offensive outputs, those are anomalies. And typically their offense is going to struggle, as it did tonight. And again, it's not like you're playing any sort of good defensive team. I know you see Clint Capella out there and you see John Collins. You think, okay, they got some shot blockers. They're good defense. But just being a shot blocker doesn't make you a good defensive player. It just means you can block shots. But and the Hawks did that a bunch, by the way, tonight. 11 blocks for Atlanta, as Collins had 4. Um, Capella had 2. Kevin Herter, who probably only has 2 blocks in his career, he had 2 blocks tonight. Okongwu off the bench, 2 blocks, and Wright also had a block. Delon Wright had a block off the bench for the Hawks. So the Celtics were really struggling when they brought the ball to the rim, and then they kind of stopped bringing the ball to the rim, and then ended up shooting obviously a very poor percentage for the game. Just 35% from the floor, which is terrible for the game, and 19% from 3, which is obviously horrible. And that all resulted in a loss for the Celtics, who you just can't ever count on them to get any sort of positive momentum going. It's always an uphill battle, and there's just nothing has come easy to the Celtics this year. And it doesn't look like there's going to be any sort of major changes happening as the deadline approaches, from everything I hear. Maybe a couple little tinkers here, but it does seem like the team's far more interested in getting below the luxury tax than actually improving the team, which is, we've covered this a lot. It's obviously disappointing to fans. I think that it's ownership being derelict of their duty, and Brad Stevens and GM being derelict of his duty. Granted, he answers to ownership, so if they tell him to do something, it's his job to listen to them. But it's disappointing that you're not hearing the Celtics sincerely trying to retool the team to make them anything other than mediocre or get below the salary tax line. So the luxury tax line, I should say. Let's look at the box score here. I've said this already a couple times, but final score 108-92. Celtics starters tonight: Tatum, Horford, Rob Williams, Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown. Tatum played okay, cooled off. Last 2 games, he was phenomenal. Tonight was so-so. 36 minutes, 5 of 17 from the floor, 2 of 8 from three, 8 of 8 from the free throw line. 6 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal, 2 block, and 20 points. He also had 5 turnovers. Not a bad game, but certainly not a really really great game, and was needed more offensively from Tatum tonight than just the 20 points. Al Horford in his return to Atlanta was terrible. 16 minutes for Al, 0 of 3 from the floor, 0 of 1 from three, 1 of 2 from the free throw line. Just 3 rebounds, no assists. He did have 2 blocks at 1 point. Not good. Not a good performance from Al Horford. Rob Williams was okay tonight. Tough matchup with 2 guys who can match his athleticism in Clint Capella and John Collins. I'd say Rob outplayed Capella, but Collins really got the better of the overall matchup tonight. I know that Rob and Capella were matched up far more than Rob and Collins, but amongst those 3 guys, Collins had by far the best game. But Rob did finish with a double-double, 32 minutes, 3 of 5 from the floor, 10 rebounds, an assist, a steal, no blocks, which is a rarity, and 11 points for Rob. Marcus Smart had a very solid, I'd say actually a really good game tonight in his 32 minutes. 6 of 8 from the floor, 2 of 4 from three, hit all 3 of his free throw attempts, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, steal, only 1 turnover, and 17 points. Solid game from Marcus Smart. And Jaylen Brown played very well too. 9 22 from the floor in 35 minutes, 2 of 9 from three. Again, no one on the Celtics shot well from three except for Marcus. 6 of 7 from the free throw line. He added 12 boards, 3 assists, and 26 points. He did have 7 turnovers though, which is way too high. But a pretty good game, all things considered. Though obviously didn't make enough of a difference. Celtics bench was not good at all tonight. In fact, it was really bad. 23 minutes for Grant Williams, 0 of 4 from the floor, 0 of 3 from three, 3 rebounds, no assist, a steal, a block, and 4 fouls, no points. Aaron Nesmith played just garbage time, 6 minutes, 1 of 3 from the floor, 2 points. Dennis Schroeder struggled in his return to Atlanta, 15 minutes, 1 of 5 from the floor, 2 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. Josh Richardson, not terrible, but not that great. Certainly not impactful at all. 18 minutes, 3 of 9 from the floor, 1 of 4 from three, a rebound, an assist, a steal, a block, and 7 points. And Romeo Langford, not a good game at all for him. And he was playing in some big minutes towards the end of the game and just didn't make any sort of impact whatsoever. 17 minutes for Romeo, 1 of 4 from the floor, 3 rebounds, no assists, no steals, a block, and 2 points. And again, yeah, Celtics really struggled in this one against a team that was really, it was a big litmus test for the C's, and they failed, which disappointing, but not surprising. And I think that should be really when you write the epitaph of the Celtics 2021-2022 season, you put the tombstone up. Maybe that's the word that you put on: disappointing, but not surprising. I didn't expect them to win this game. I looked at those past 2 blowout wins as nice, but I looked at more at the team. And obviously, when you crush a team like Sacramento, even though they're bad, you still say, okay, this is you should crush them. So the Celtics did what they're supposed to do there. But they have no ability to play consistent basketball, and that rears its head, every other game or more or less. That's why they're a 500 team. And it's going to continue that way until ownership and management decide to do something about it. And I don't know that that's happening anytime soon. So for the time being, we're just going to have to struggle with disappointment and mediocrity. Leonard, let's see what you say in the chat here. Of course, they lost. Yep. Leonard and I have been like-minded all season long. Your heart says Big Al has a place on this team, but my head says this isn't working out at all. And I think that's a really interesting discussion. How many minutes should Al Horford get going forward, especially after the trade deadline when the Celtics roster is going to be locked in? Should you be playing him at the expense of any of these younger guys in the team? It doesn't seem like he can handle much of a workload anymore. I think that of all the coaching mistakes Ime Udoka's made this season, and there's been many, perhaps playing Al Horford so many minutes at the start of the season was the biggest among them. I don't know why no one took him aside and said, "Hey, Al is 35. We can't play him 40 minutes a night, back-to-back nights. That's insane." and yet he did it. And the Celtics are now seeing kind of a shell of Al Horford. So I do think it's interesting to see if the Celtics do try to move him, which I think they'd like to, because his contract's only partially guaranteed for next season. So some teams would like that for the cap relief. Who steps in? Grant Williams hasn't really shown he's a consistent or capable starter. Um, it, the problem is they just don't have a lot of young guys that are NBA players that can play that position forward. Big your power forward or center position. Romeo and Neesmith. Though I mean, maybe they can get more minutes if Horford gets less minutes, but it's not the same position, and so you'd have to go small. And so yeah, the Celtics. I mean, this is a problem. They don't have enough talent on the team. Maybe you make a move and you get a guy who is a prospect that you can see more minutes from there, but I don't see that there's a logical fit. So there's just a problem all over. I mean, all up and down the roster, they have numerous problems, and Al Horford's just the latest one. So yeah, we'll continue to talk about that and what the Celtics look like as the trade deadline approaches, and they're right back at it tomorrow. Whether you look at that as a good thing because they can put this loss behind them, or as a bad thing because you have to see them, play again. They play in New Orleans tomorrow, 7 o'clock. Looks like we're getting a massive snowstorm here in New England and a lot of the East Coast. So hopefully, knock on wood, I keep power and can watch that game. As who just took a dive there? Karl Malone. Sorry, Carl. He's okay. Yeah, be back for that Celtics game, provided I have power. And I hope everybody, if you're on the East Coast, stay warm, stay safe with the snow, and yeah, that's all I got for you. I'll talk to you later. See you, everybody.